North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has arrived in Russia for his planned meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin following days of speculation that Kim would visit Russia using a heavily armored train. Kim Sang reports.
North Korean leader Kim Jong Un's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin is on the go, as said by the South Korean Defense Ministry. Meanwhile, the Kremlin confirmed that Kim has arrived in Russia using an armored train. The Kremlin confirmed Putin invited Kim to visit Russia, with Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov saying that the negotiations would be held both with Russian and North Korean delegations present and in a one-on-one format. An official banquet will also be held in honor of Kim, but no press conferences are planned. Peskov did not specify where in the Far East the talks between Putin and Kim would take place. It can be noted that Putin arrived in the eastern port city of Vladivostok, Russia, to attend the Eastern Economic Forum that was held at the same time. Vladivostok City is also where Putin and Kim held their first meeting in 2019. Meanwhile, the armored train used by Kim was also seen near the North Korea-Russia border, and the speculation that the Pyongyang leader was boarding it has been confirmed following his arrival. Meanwhile, various media reports say that Kim wanted to talk about further military cooperation with Putin. Solely Sobogo Kim Sang-imnida, SMNI News, South Korea.
Prior to the meeting between North Korean leader Kim Jong Un and Russian President Vladimir Putin, the latter spoke at a plenary session wherein he criticized Western nations for destroying the global economy by disrupting financial and trade relations. Jean Domingo has the details.
Russian President Vladimir Putin voiced his concerns about Western countries damaging the global economic system they played a role in creating. He expressed these worries during a speech at the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. President Putin stated that some Western nations are causing harm to the international economy by disrupting financial, trade, and economic relationships. However, Putin also pointed out that many countries around the world are committed to working together for the benefit of all people, not just the wealthy few. These nations prioritize their own projects and aim to bring long-term benefits to their populations. According to President Putin, this approach is leading to the emergence of a new international model that is more inclusive and less focused on Western standards. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also highlighted the growing influence of groups like the BRICS economic bloc and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization as more countries seek alternatives to Western-dominated international institutions. Lavrov argued that many nations feel the need to bypass these Western institutions due to grievances and sanctions imposed by the U.S. and European unions. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jean Domingo, SMNI News.
China's envoy criticized Japan's actions, saying that it unilaterally launched the discharge of nuclear-contaminated water from the crippled Fukushima power plant into the Pacific Ocean. The envoy also urged Japan to accept strict international supervision regarding the discharge. Ria Saito reports.
At the International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors meeting held yesterday in Vienna, the capital of Austria, Li Song, China's permanent representative to the United Nations and other international organizations in Vienna, says the disposal of nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean has become a major issue concerning the global marine environment and public health, and it is not a domestic affair of Japan. According to Lee, the Fukushima nuclear accident that happened 12 years ago caused a serious disaster in Japan, but the country has the responsibility and obligation to dispose of nuclear-contaminated water in the most responsible, safe, and careful way to avoid causing secondary damage to the marine environment and humanity, adding that disposing of it at the sea is not the only option nor the most responsible. Lee also emphasized that Japan has not asked the UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Energy Agency or IAEA to execute comprehensive disposal options other than dumping it into the sea, which has rejected. He said the IAEA statement cannot serve a pass for Japan and just dump nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean. The Chinese envoy said the IAEA report cannot serve as a pass for Japan to go through with the discharge. He underscored the importance for the IAEA to establish a long-term and effective international monitoring mechanism no longer controlled by Japan. Lee urged TEPCO and the Japanese government to address the serious concerns of the international community. Member states and the Board of Governors should also play a principal role in establishing relevant international monitoring mechanisms and carry out regular reviews of the issues and the mechanism itself. 以上、日本から朝イタリアニュースとお伝えしました。S9 News in Japan.
The death toll from the powerful earthquake that struck Morocco last week is nearing 3,000, as said by the Moroccan Interior Ministry. Carlo de la Peña tells us more.
Rescuers and medics continue to look for more earthquake victims as hopes fade, finding them alive under the rubble. The number of deaths is nearing 3,000, with over 2,501 people injured. The epicenter of the earthquake was near the town of Ighil in El Haus province, located some 70 kilometers southwest of the old city of Marrakesh. Meanwhile, Amizmiz, a tourist town approximately 55 kilometers south of Marrakesh, is among the areas heavily affected by the powerful earthquake. The buildings are reportedly on the verge of collapse. A once 3-floor house has been reduced to a single floor as the upper 2 floors collapsed after the strong jolt. Displaced residents had no other choice but to seek shelter with relatives and friends in another city.
My family is from here, this hall. Yeah, actually this is big phenomenon. There's a lot of people who died. This is actually a
Relief efforts and rescue operations continue in the quake-stricken areas, including Amizmiz and Marrakesh. Reporting, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
As many as 3,000 people are estimated dead and thousands more are missing after Storm Daniel devastated eastern Libya, with the city of Derna witnessing the worst of it after 2 dams collapsed. According to Red Cross, 10 people are missing, while Libyan authorities have estimated that Storm Daniel that triggered flash floods may have killed as many as 2,000 people in Derna city alone. Derna is a city formerly held by Islamic extremists for more than a decade, and their stronghold resulted in inadequate and crumbling infrastructure. Meanwhile, Storm Daniel continued onward on Egypt, although the impact appeared to be less severe in the said country. Still, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi ordered the Egyptian armed forces to send immediate assistance and humanitarian aid by air and sea to Libya and Morocco, where a powerful earthquake left thousands dead.